It's almost not 15. So,
Yep.
alrighty. I guess I should post something. I did post something earlier. But let me do it again. YouTube. Go to the tube of the U. Doop, doop, doop. Do boom addiction. Go to that one. And people can make fun of me for at replying or tagging Boom Studios in my tweets now, but I don't give a crap. I want them to know I'm talking about them.
Yeah, whatever. I'm kind of over worrying about what people think, anyways.
Oh yeah, I gave that up a couple of days ago.
Doesn't mean I'm going to be a dick, but yeah.
For sure. I still check and see if Rob Liefeld's blocked me after standing up for.
Oh, he had, like I said, he'd already blocked me, Teal Productions, and I don't know why. I don't remember why.
Yeah.
I think it was because I was asking about Image United like years ago. That's the only thing that I can think of. Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of.
Oh, those days. I remember that series fondly.
Well, that stuff that you posted on that it tells me that Rob is just being a dick. I mean, there's
the
no
way
other excuse for that.
Gavin's story is not. I've seen that multiple times.
Yeah.
And Gavin, I think, sort of him, like, he had not complained but posted something about it like a week ago, and like I think it's just finally kind of gotten, just sort of, it's been bothering him enough to where he decided he wanted to say something.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he said it pretty classy. So,
well, I mean, what if all you're doing is asking about it, why does that warrant that kind of treatment?
Yep, very, very true. So, all right. So, what book are we not covering tonight? I did not get a chance to get to Power Rangers or Dizzy. Those are the only two.
I read Dizzy. I didn't read Power Rangers.
Well, that's fine. If you want to talk about Dizzy,
yeah, I can.
Yeah, that'd be good.
BRZRKR, Dizzy.
That's the last issue of Dizzy, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but it's the door was left like off the hinge.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, so I'm
that's
like,
good.
Yeah, Berserk, Dizzy, Slaughter, and Killer Affairs.
Oh, and I read Firefly too.
Okay.
I actually talked to somebody in a comic shop about the new Firefly series, and they picked up the issue to buy it.
Okay, it's working. There you go.
That was new for me.
There you go.
And I was so happy I had already read the issue. So. All right. So, and this thing, this little
wind.
Yeah, oh my God. It was on Play for Life's live thing.
Is that the first issue?
That's the first issue. It's the Peach Momoko. I think
that's right. Okay.
Like there's the one with the logo, and then this is the Virgin cover.
Right.
But yeah, they had it. Play for Life, which is my local shop, they had it on their Facebook sale. They have an auction. One of the books they'll have something going for auction. So anyway, I had stopped listening to them for some reason and then came back a couple minutes later and they had it sitting there and it had it going for $5. And I was like, well, that's stupid because that's way more expensive than $5. And they're like, yeah, we had it listed here at the shop for 50. And I'm like, yeah, that's about right. About 40, $50.
Yeah.
And it sat there and they started doing, they did, first take, second, third, and started counting it down and they'll count down to 10. And if no one speaks up and they sell it. Well, they started to count it down, and I'm like, no, 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 no. I can't let this thing go for $5. It at least needs to come to me if it's going that cheap.
Yeah, if it's going to
But
go 5.
I guess I could have just said $6, but I just went 10. And they're like, all right, Chris Martin's got it. Anybody else? Nobody? Okay, sold. Get it out of here. So
Wow.
I
Okay.
talked to the shop owner when I went to go pick it up, and I told him, I said, dude, I said, I felt bad that I bought it, for such cheap price. Feel good for me, but I feel bad for you guys. And he's like, well, he said, it's been sitting here, we've had it in the shop for a couple months now. Someone brought it in with the collection, da 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 da. We've made our money back on that collection already, and he
So
said,
letting
it's
one
not
go.
no, he basically was like, sometimes we have auctions that, do that, then others that go over what our sale price is.
Mhm.
It just sort of is a wash. So, but I was like, all right, cool, groovy.
Good.
I mean, I bought some stuff from them like that before, but I've never bought like what I felt like was a book I was never going to buy because I felt it was too much.
Right.
But
Yeah. Right.
apparently, I almost have all of the first issues for Wind.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look and see too. I think I have several of them also.
Yeah, I
That
was
that
kind of
makes me want to
shocked
look.
when I started going through my inventory list, and I'm like, I think I'm only missing, like, I'm missing the one with the logo, the Momoko cover with the
Mhm.
logo. Say that 5 times. And there's like one or two other ones. Like, I've got the second printing, and I don't think they had a third printing, but I was just like, wow, I didn't realize I had all these.
Cool.
It's like, sweet. All right, we can go ahead and get started here. All right. I think we got everything. All right, cool. In 3, 2, 1. And my brain froze. 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. It's Boom Addiction. Chris's brain's thawing out. So I'm Chris Parton. How are you? Things are good here. Good. As always, with me is Mr. Ed Moore. Ooh, yeah, that was rough.
I don't know what to say, Chris.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me do that one again.
I'm
That
I'm
was.
I'm I'm
Whew.
I'm at a
Oh my
loss.
gosh.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Let's try that again.
All
Thank
right.
God no one's watching us live. Oh no, I have to edit this now. Crap. So, all right. In 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Boom Addiction. Welcome back. My name is Chris Parton, and with me as always is Mr. Ed Moore. Ed, how are you?
I am doing well in that was just that one word that time. So
Oh my gosh.
which
Whew.
is cool. We'll just run with that Ed thing and
That
it would yeah, that's
Yeah, like four
cool
words want to come out at
cool,
one time
cool
there.
beans.
Mm.
I don't know.
All
There's like
right.
a couple more letters in there it sounded like than I
So do
mean,
you
I've
play?
got it right here, but on the bottom of my picture,
Yeah, it says it right there. I
yeah,
see
it's
it.
just 2 letters.
Just
Yeah.
2 letters. So
Okay.
I'm a 5 letter word person. I play
I
Wordle a lot
I was
now.
gonna say Wordle. Yeah,
Yeah.
you were
Now
de-stressing, I see on
uh,
Twitter, you said before the
I
show there, so
started playing Quordle, which is you do 4 words at one time, which is insane.
d I
Um,
enjoy that game so much that I have the word Wordle blocked on Twitter.
do you know?
I completely yes, I do not want to see it, so
Uh, yeah, it's supposed to get your brain going. Apparently, for me, it just shuts it down. So,
well, there are other things I'll do to get my brain going if
right.
that's my goal. Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, a lot of good stuff to be talking about on this episode. Hopefully, I won't stumble over all that stuff. Let's go ahead and get started as we always do with FOC. This is all the books that you can still order from your local retailer. Orders are due by February 28th. That is next Monday. We're recording on Thursday, the 24th. So you got a couple days left. Be sure to check up, as I always tell you, check up with your retailer. Make sure that they don't cut off on Saturday. Make sure you get it in. Always open communication with your retailer. They like to make money. They like to sell you comics, but they also need to get their orders in. You need
Right.
to be
They need to know what to make money on. That's,
exactly.
you know.
So be a friendly customer and get your if you're going to do FOC, make sure you get it in.
help them help you.
Exactly.
That's what
Yeah,
it is.
that whole thing. So so like I told you guys last week, my retailer, my LCS, he has started using like Google Docs on his Facebook page, and just so he has an easy way to track it, which is a cool thing to do. So he puts it up on his Facebook page on like Tuesday, like
Cool.
Tuesday
Yeah.
or Wednesday, yeah. And then gives you a space to put whatever you want. You're good to go. Everything's cool. He pulls all your stuff or pulls our stuff, whatever. Hopefully, your retailer is doing something similar, to get all that stuff organized. If not, um, you know, just go in there with a pad and pen and go, I want these, and they'll help you out. So let me share my screen for the YouTube folks. Share screen. Doop, 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 doop. That is not the screen I meant to share.
I
Clicked
didn't
on.
see
I
one.
clicked. Oh no, I clicked on
Okay.
the wrong one before I hit OK. I was like, nope.
I was
It
gonna
was
say I
just gonna
didn't
be
see one
us.
pop up. What?
It was gonna be us, and I didn't want
Oh.
Inception to happen there.
Oh no, not that picture! Take it
Yeah,
down.
yeah. Um, so yeah, as far as this week's books, I mean, you'll see it's not a whole lot of things, but there are a lot of each thing. So Firefly, or excuse me, all new Firefly #2. You can get the A and B cover for this. I do want to bring up a quick thing that I'm starting to notice. Have you noticed, or is it just me being behind the ball, that a lot of the cover prices have gone from $3.99 to $4.99?
Yeah, I had
I
noticed that.
noticed that this week, and I started to look back on a couple other things. Not every series has done it, but there's been several series, and I just was like,
And
I have just totally not paid attention.
yeah, I was gonna say I would imagine that the price for one, which you have probably there in front of you,
Yeah,
was it 4.99 this week?
yeah, it's 4.99. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So newer things they're rather than changing the price on ongoing, the new ones are, yeah, a
yeah,
dollar more.
yeah, and yeah, it is what it is. It's just price doing business, I guess. And,
There you go.
and we'll get into why they need to make money a little later. Got a lot of hires, a
Yeah.
lot of cool stuff. All right, so all new Firefly #2, A and B. We get Buffy the Vampire Slayer. This is the 25th anniversary one shot. This is a whopping $9.99. There are A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Seven,
I mean,
one,
that's
four,
7
seven.
covers.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's going to be, I don't say sure. I mean, there's 7 covers already, but I mean, all these are logo filled covers, so we could have a Virgin cover or something to that effect.
Not only
But
that, but for something like this, there's got to be 2, 3 store covers out there too.
oh, for sure, yeah.
So,
I mean, this is 25th anniversary of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so
yeah.
it would be a prime book to jump in on. So I don't know a whole lot about this one shot. I do know that it does have a story that leads into the new Vampire Slayer series that will be
Okay.
coming out in, is it April or May?
May, I think.
Okay. So it's coming up. So if you want to get a head start on that, here's a good chance. I've already got mine pre-ordered. I actually pre-ordered cover C because I dig Jose Corona's art. I think it's pretty
See,
good.
okay. Well, plus it's got everybody on it.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons. I mean, all of these covers. I mean, I'm not a big photo cover fan. I mean, back when Dark Horse was doing it, they always did an A and B cover, and their
Right.
B cover was a photo, so I always grab those. But these are a lot of the same promo photos that they use for their covers. But I mean, all these covers are great. I mean, but yeah, like you said, it's got all the characters on it, and that's kind of what I dig. So there's that. Then there's also Power Rangers Universe #4 of 6. There's a cover A and there's a cover F. So you do the math. There's a few covers in between there.
Should
So
be. Yeah.
yeah. So I have enjoyed the covers for Universe because they're all very specific to colors, to the Rangers. So this one's obviously with the Pink Ranger. 3 was with the Yellow Ranger that came out this week.
Somebody on Boom's stuff. One of the editors, I believe, posted all of the 3 covers consecutively in
Oh, okay.
Twitter posts.
Gotcha.
Um, and they were all by Dan Mora, I believe, but I believe they were all 3.
Let's see.
Each one was a different color ranger.
Yeah. Let's see. Go to variants. So this is where I'm looking on Previews World, which is Diamond's pull box website. So this was issue 1, which has had all of them, but it's red. And then 2, they only have this issue for 2. They don't have any other variants. I do have variants turned on. Show variants. Yep. So I can't tell what that's supposed to be. But then 3 is yellow, 4 is pink, 5 is black, and 6 is green. So I'm assuming 2 should have been blue.
So it was of
Oh, and this is the
multiple.
FOC cover that I'm looking at for issue 2.
Okay.
So they don't have any more. They may not. They may have sold out of all of the other covers for 2.
Let me see here if I can. Universe. I'm sorry. 3, 4. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is what they were.
Okay.
Daphne. Daphne
Oh, okay.
posted
Yeah.
in first. The first tweet was all of them side by side,
Mm-hmm.
and then 3 consecutive tweets of 2 covers side by side. 1, 2,
Okay.
3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry. I was thinking it was all issue 3, but it is the Dan Mora, which is what A cover.
Yeah, I think he was doing the 8 covers.
Or well, let's see. This is 4.
Yeah, because he did a
3,
cover
4.
for issue 1.
Okay, this is a different Dan Mora cover then, because this shows the 1, 2, 3, 4, or no. This cover she has as 2. This A cover, she has that listed as Universe 2 cover.
Oh.
But here they have it as a 4 cover. Okay. But yeah, each one has a hand
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Yeah, those
red,
are the cover A's. Yeah.
blue, yellow, black, and green. I guess that's black. It looks
Mm-hmm.
purple, but it's supposed to be black. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of cool that she posted them all
Yeah. I mean,
consecutively like that.
these are good looking covers. I do like them. Cool. So that is all. I mean, like I said, not a whole lot as far as FOC this week. Probably because the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, book is such a hefty book that week. I mean, it's a $10 book. So let's see. Is it saying here how many pages? It's 64 pages. So it's gonna have a variety of folks 25 years later dive into a whole new universe story celebrated for the phenomenal blah blah blah. So we now have both the multiverse and Buffy, which is if you read the last 10 issues of the series, I mean that's all that was them
Right.
bebopping through the multiverse. But then this is also gonna have Sarah Gailey's first story because she'll be writing the new series, and then 3 more brand new original stories by fan favorites, but they're not saying who. So this is not going to be a reprint book, fill thing or something like that. You're getting all new stories, which is good to see. So good stuff. So I'm looking forward to that. I knew when I saw that on FOC, I'd been sort of wishy-washy at the tail end of the last series,
Right.
just because I had missed so many issues of it. But knowing this is, jumping in, on the new series, I felt it would be a good opportunity to do that.
Well,
So,
and I mean, all it needs is just a quick intro as you bring on these characters, and
yeah,
so
yep.
that's always especially like I said last week about or was it the Angel? Yeah, well, yeah, I think it was Angel. Is that it just throws you in feet first.
Yeah,
9 characters and you know them, and it's like, well, but what if I don't know? Oh, you know them. Let's go
Yeah,
and
you're
just
fine. Don't worry.
yeah.
You're
It's
good
like
to go.
yeah.
You're
So
fine. Don't worry. It'll be fine. So, all right. So FOC next Monday, the 28th. Make sure you have them in. That'll be good to go. Next week's books. Let's see. Pretty simple. Buckhead #4. We've got 4 covers on that one. Jim Henson's Storytellers Shapeshifters #1, which I know Ed's excited for.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that one
Yeah, those
for sure.
storytellers things are always great.
Yeah.
3 covers for that. Magic. Mage is a completely different series.
Wow. Okay.
Matt Wagner just decided to bring it over just for one issue.
Well, yeah, I was going to say he's about to finish it up anyway, so he's like, well, what the heck? We'll do that at Boom.
We'll just get crazy.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Magic #12, 5 covers on that, and then we get the Save Yourself trade paperback, which is $14.99, and then Something Is Killing the Children Slaughter Pack #2 will be out next week as well.
Cool. I don't even have #1.
Yeah. So here's a crazy thing about the first one. I still have seen like Ultimate Comics. Now I haven't been there in the last week. Um, yeah, it's only last week. But the location I go to, they still had like a pack of the covers still sitting on the stuff to sell, and I'm like, if I didn't already have mine in a box being mailed to me, I would be
Well,
tempted.
yeah, time will tell.
Well, true, yeah. So I was like, all right. So anyway, next week, issues 6 through 10, some sweet looking David back covers.
Oh man, I want them. I
Yep,
want them.
pretty cool. I have looked. I follow a lot of like comic collectors, in on Instagram, and so
Hmm.
they're always showing their cool storage, boxes and the nice, you know, furniture looking, nice display cases and stuff like that, stuff for the walls and everything, their books in it.
Right.
And it's got me going, it'd be kind of neat. I mean, I don't really have anything, behind me as far as like all of this needs to get cleaned up. If any of you
Nah.
are on YouTube,
Nah.
this is my workstation when I mail and
Yep.
package comics.
It's like we are maintaining the guerrilla podcasting. We just
Yeah.
added video. That's
But
all.
uh,
That's,
but I want on this wall either a giant poster
Mm.
or put all those David Mack covers and put them in like just nothing super fancy, but
But
just you need some aesthetic here.
you put them out and they'll fade.
Yeah, I don't
Uh,
sure. I
I'm
don't
I'm not I'm not advocating putting them in a condom or anything like people like to do with them, but sticking them out where light or the sun can get
yeah.
to them. Also, I'm like cringe.
Well, and this that I had made the decision earlier this year that I needed to sell a large majority of my collection,
Mhm.
and a lot of my Boom books were in that. I have since rescinded on that part of it,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and have been, as I go through my stuff and kind of get everything organized to sell them, not just for fun, folks. There's actual life reasons, but I am making sure I'm pulling all of my Boom stuff out and making sure I keep all that stuff. So yeah, so that's kind of also why lately, if you follow me on Twitter, why I'm so hyped up on collecting Boom stuff, because I've been going back as I'm pulling stuff out of my boxes and everything like that. Going, oh, I totally forgot about this. Oh, I
Yeah.
totally forgot
Really.
about this.
Yeah.
And this was also during the time where I would buy a lot of variant covers and second and third printings and stuff like that. I don't have nearly the Boom collection I used to have. Um, that's very sad for me that I had sold so much of that and given a lot of it away, basically. So it would be nice to have those 3 or 4 long boxes back. But now we're kind of, we're starting back, so we're working into our trying to fill up our second long box, and we'll just kind of go from there. But but yeah, so it's been fun going back and seeing all that stuff. So yeah, I'm pretty gung ho about it now. So something fading on the wall. I mean, that window there is gonna be there's not gonna be any direct light on it, sunlight on it anyway. So it's still thoughts. Or I could just find a really cool poster.
Okay.
A
All right.
really cool poster. So anyway, trying to think about the studio now that we're on the YouTube stuff. So
Oh, okay. I got you. Getting all
yeah,
big britches and
getting all
stuff.
fancy. I'm gonna get me a
Okay.
big, neon light to put up here and everything, and
Mhm.
it's gonna be like the Boom Bros or something.
There you go.
Whatever. Okay.
Puts me in mind of a Charlie McLean, I think, country song from back in the day.
Oh, it does.
Um, you go ahead. It'll
It'll
come to
come
me here.
back to me.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Um,
right. So the only other thing before we jump into books is just going over a little bit about Comics Pro. If
I'm gonna hire a wino. That's it.
you're good.
Do you remember that song?
No, I do not.
I'm
I'm not
gonna
that
hire a
old.
wino to decorate our home.
No, I haven't
Yeah.
heard that.
And
Nice.
what brings it to mind is because she talks about hanging a bud sign on the wall.
Nice.
He spends his money out, and she's like, "Well, I'm just going to open a bar here. That way, you'll just bring the check
Oh,
here
I
and
have
check
heard
it."
that song.
Yeah,
That
that's what
sounds
the.
very familiar.
I
Yeah.
think it's Charlie McLean. Terry Ann, if you're listening, who is it that sings "Hire a Wino"? If she's the one watching, she'll let
We'll
us know.
we'll get that in a couple of seconds. So
Yeah, that's all right.
so if you go over to Boom Studios YouTube channel, they have posted two videos today. One is a sizzle reel from Comics Pro, which is um, it's like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes long, or something like that. Talking, showing some art and books and stuff, and talking about creators that are going to be coming down the road, working with Boom this year, which was pretty exciting. A lot of names that are currently working on series that are at Boom now, but there was quite a few, like 5 or 6 names
Mhm.
that have not been working with them as of yet. So it's kind of neat. Charlie
Adlard.
Adlar, thank you. Good lord. For as much as a Walking Dead fan as I
Okay.
am,
Well,
I don't think I've said his name out loud since I did Image Addiction.
I
So
was going to say, yeah, I don't. Well, you certainly haven't said it on this show, so
no, but yeah, his name popped across. Jeremy Hahn, who did Red Mother here at Boom. So he's coming, I guess, coming back to do another series or something,
maybe
either
it's
as
a
a
follow up
writer.
to that, or yeah,
That
yeah,
would be cool too. That would be
yeah.
pretty neat. More likely, I mean, I'm guessing, but he would come back as a writer. He's been really getting involved in that, and doing very well as a writer. Um, then, although I'd really like him to get back to the realm, writing that, but that's just that's a fanboy thing. Um, but and then who else? What were some of the? I can't remember who the other names were.
Yeah, I'm going here to look because several of them stuck out, and I said something when I saw them.
Like, holy crap!
Yeah, let's see. First retweet. Hang with me, folks. This is live. Oh, Libra Mayo was
Oh,
one.
that's right. Yeah.
Jeremy Hahn, Libra Mayo, and Charlie Adlard were the names that jumped out at me.
Yeah. So no, no news as far as like what they're doing or anything like
No.
that. So I'm sure. I mean, we're only in February. Um, I don't know if they would, if it's something that they're going to. I mean, we've seen solicitations all the way out till May. Is that
Well,
right?
yeah, we've
April.
definitely seen May solicitations. I got them right
So
here in my
y-
folder.
yeah. So I mean, so we're not going to see anything till then. Till past May. So
June. Yeah, which
yeah.
June, July, and August is usually when, all the big stuff seems to happen in the summer. So I'm
Yeah.
sure they've
So
got it
that'll.
lined up. We just got to wait for them to say so.
Yep. So that'll be cool. Mr. Charlie Huffman is in the chat. That is always nice to see,
All
Mr.
right.
Charlie.
Hey.
So now we get a flip where Charlie used to be in his chat for alternate reality. Now he's in our chat for our podcast. That's
Yeah,
kind of neat.
there we go.
Appreciate you stopping by, sir. So
Small
let's see.
world kind of stuff.
Yeah, there you go. As far as stuff, the other video on their YouTube channel is the full 12 or 13 minutes um, presentation that Philip Sadlick did. Comics Pro this year was held, remotely or via online or whatever. So all the presentations were pre-recorded. So you can watch that. The sizzle reel is in that video toward the end of it. So if you want to just watch the whole thing, you can check that out as well. But yeah, so just a lot of cool stuff. I mean, most of his presentation talks about sales numbers, not specifics, but just sort of general industry sales numbers, just how well Boom's doing. The last 2 years have been their best 2 years since the company started. They're hiring a bunch more people. I think they said they're going to be hiring 33%, or at least first quarter. They're going to be increasing their numbers by 33%. Most of that is dealing with, if I pull it up here, it's like sales and marketing and accounting, sort of, beefing up the, um, that side of the company to potentially, see further growth or larger growth. Because, I mean, honestly, Boom and Image Comics are neck and neck as far as like the number 3 publisher in the industry. And I feel like the two of them are probably the more successful of the two as far as just the product that they're putting out. And that's an opinion of a fan. Marvel and DC are big beasts and stuff like that. And I enjoy their books as well. But I feel like, reading, the stuff that I've read from Marvel, or excuse me, from Image and Boom over the last year or two have been the books that I stick with the longest. So, he goes into talking about stuff by retailer programs and stuff like that, because ComicPRO is a retailer specific. It's just for retailers. It's a summit that they all go to. So I would, check out, their website, check out their news, especially go to their YouTube channel, and you can watch all this stuff. It's, it's sort of, a little nerdy, if you're into that. I was like, "Ooh, look, there's 2 new videos. I gotta check
They
them out."
also
So,
do the creator interviews.
yeah, Boom Chat they've got
Boom
on
Chat,
there.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah. So
Brianna does that. So I guess that this may be in place of that. But part of the reason that they do Boom Chat on and have it posted on YouTube is for retailers to use in their shops. And that's not a thing I even thought about, but that's something
right,
that
but yeah,
Sablak brought up in his presentation, is that, that is a resource that they're trying to get out there, so that, folks who may not be familiar with some of these creators that they're working with, that they can get to know them a little bit, because these interviews are what, 10 or 15 minutes at the
yeah,
most.
they're real short.
Yeah, so I mean, they're very bite sized, so you can get in there and check out. Plus, if it's a series you're interested in or whatever, I mean, that was, I wished there was a lot of those interviews I wish we had, or at least I had watched before we did the show. One for
Yeah,
pronunciation, and
I
two
always
for
forget to uh yeah, I'll get back to that here in a sec. I always forget to look beforehand.
yeah,
Pronunciation. James Tynion the Fourth. That is how you're supposed to pronounce it. I have found out. Tynion, just like his newsletter from Substack, which is called what?
tiny onion.
Tiny Onion.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's why it's named that, because yeah, I wondered when I first saw that. I'm like, why in the hell did he pick Tiny Onion? What does that have to do with what? Okay. You name it whatever you want. Yeah, that's sure. But that's why, because it's like his name,
Yep.
Tynion the Fourth.
Yep.
So there we go.
But yeah, so y'all can go check all that stuff out. It's cool if you're into that kind of neat stuff. But we'll definitely, as they bring out new information about any new books, obviously we talk about the
Oh
previews
yeah.
every month.
Yeah.
But if they break anything, we'll definitely, at least be retweeting it, talking about it, and posting on our Facebook page and Twitter and stuff like that, just so you can keep up with it all. So, other than that, you ready to dive into some books?
Let's do it.
All right, what you got?
Let's talk about getting dizzy first.
Sweet.
Getting dizzy. All right. Issue number 4, which I believe is the last of this, we'll say volume. And I say that because I'll get to the very end of this story here in a moment. This is written for us by Shea Fontana. Uh, and I will give my apologies here at the top for butchering names. It's certainly not intentional, and it is through lack of knowledge. So if I do it wrong and someone corrects me, I'll definitely try to make that correction moving forward. Um, Written by Shea Fontana, illustrated by Celia Mascotte, colored by Gloria Martinelli, lettered by Jim Campbell. Now, this is and designed by Grace Park. Um, the the longer I have read this, and this is the 4th issue now, the more I see my idea of the age that this is intended for shift down. And the, this last issue was like a yeah, even less than that. I thought that this was well, it's a it's a hard early middle school for me at this point.
Okay.
Is where I think it really centers in.
Right.
Sometimes the concepts will make it a little older, but then the way people act and speak will make it a little younger. And you guys can't see me. My hands are going like this. Yeah. So all you saw were my shoulders because of the camera. But so yeah, after reading this and some things that happen and the way that the story is laid out for us, I'm like, yeah, we're talking like lower middle school. Now, I say that not to diminish or put the book down by any means. I mean, I'm going to be 54 here in less than a month, and I read it and enjoyed it. So it's maybe maybe that's
If
on
Ed
me and
can
not on the
enjoy it,
book.
anybody can. Is what he's
There you
trying to say.
go. I'm hardcore, man, and the older I get, the harder core I get. So just watch my Twitter, and you'll
I get
see
a
when.
softer core. Is what my problem is. My core.
Is that what it is? That's why your back is
My
bothering you. You
back's
gotta
bothering me, and
gotta
yeah,
firm up that core.
getting
Okay.
old.
So, yeah, Dizzy is what she goes by. Her name is, yeah, they talk about it here in the book. Let's see. Damiana. Let's see, how do you, no, Desideria.
Oh yeah,
Desideria.
yeah, yeah.
Desideria. Desideria. But she goes by Dizzy. And interestingly enough, there's a scene here in the book where she is her mother is a single parent. Um, what happened to the dad? Did he die, Chris? Do you remember? Or did he leave? I don't remember
I
what the
don't
situation was.
remember, and that was.
Yeah.
I think they brought it up in the first issue, but I've
Yeah, it
forgotten since then.
they didn't dwell on it at all. It's
Yep.
but for the story, it's been single mother and Dizzy. And there's a scene here where at one point in their relationship, and this looks like this is a slightly older Dizzy. We've seen her uh, at the age that she is in the book. We've seen her as probably a grade school child, and then I think we've seen one other time in between. So there's like 3, maybe 4 age brackets for Dizzy that we've seen, but this is just short of her age now. And she and her mother are having a conversation in the car where her mom is talking about how much she trusts her, and Dizzy comes back with a, "Well, I'm glad because I want to be called Dizzy." And at first her mother rebuffs, but then she's like, No, you've got one coming, so I'll give you that one. We'll call you Dizzy if that's what you want to be called." So um Dizzy has been uh, chosen kind of rather than de facto kind of chosen by default to be a defender of a realm, we'll say. The realm
There you go.
being her city, her town where she lives. And the first 3 issues have been some travails she's had, some ups and downs as she was given the mantle in air, um, trained by the trainer, and the third issue flows directly into this one. Has been and I hesitate because I don't know if these really are the best words, but she has the evil she's been chosen to fight, although she wasn't chosen per se, but um, came against her, and she was losing the battle by the end of the third issue. And at the beginning of the fourth issue, we see that she in essence has lost that battle, but her friends Peyton, AV, and Scarlet realize that and come to help her. And in their desire to help her, it empowers Dizzy enough to throw off the evil, malevolent forces that are attacking her and allow her to resume the battle in earnest in the big scope rather than having to deal with the the evil coming against her. So the first several pages here of the book, that's what happens. And we see that she has several devices that she was uh, granted slash gifted to help her defeat the negatrixes, which those are the evil creatures. They're basically conglomerations or agglomerations of evil energy from evil emotions, and they coalesce and gain almost like a sentience, and then they're able to um, infect their evil on other uninfected people, kind of like a parasite
Yeah.
in a dimensional shifting to where only Dizzy can see, and that's by way of some special goggles that she wears. No one else can see that someone is being infected by this evil. But of course, that evil does affect how that person acts and speaks and things like that. So it's kind of like, or not kind of like, but I think what they're saying is that people, when they become mean and evil, it's because of something you don't see or something external or
Yeah.
I'm
Outside influences and that kind
yeah,
of
I'm
thing.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm sure there's bigger picture messages that you could really pull out of this if you wanted to use this as some sort of teaching product to younger kids about the way people act, or um, how to accept and be accepting of the way people act, and understanding that's a better word, understanding rather than accepting. um, don't ever accept somebody being a dick because they do that by choice. That's you don't need to accept that.
No, no.
That's. um, so Dizzy is able to have the emotional cleansing uh, due to the help of her friends, and so she is back to her normal, happy-go-lucky, bouncy Dizzy, which we saw in that third issue. Boy, she got to the point where she just absolutely was not. She was
Mm.
just really her personality really had taken a turn, and so it was like something has to be going on even to us reading it, because that was not the Dizzy that we saw in the first couple issues.
Yeah.
So the town, while this is going on, and I think this is part of what happens, why she was suddenly affected. She had been this protector for since almost near the end of the first issue, all of the second issue, and then about halfway through the third issue to the end of that issue, she's all of a sudden infected by these negatrixes. And I think what has happened is because this that is going on in town, they're starting to really coalesce, and so there was more of it concentrated, and she was nearby, and so she was affected, much like most of the other people in the town are
Mhm.
affected, on top of the fact that she is the chosen protector, so she was kind of a bigger target. And I think the two, in combination, is what really brought her downfall
Mhm.
there momentarily. But now she's able to focus back on the town, where the mayor is making a lot of really unpopular changes. And Dizzy found out through the use of her goggles that it wasn't just a negatrix, but it was like this massive, like, confluence. And actually, through this issue, it gets so concentrated that regular people are able to see it. You don't have to have anything special in order to see it here.
Well, he was
What's
a
Charlie's?
big
What?
old. They live for kids. I didn't quite pick up what that was.
Yeah. 46 is closely approaching the slow march to the end. What is 46?
His age. When you were talking about how old you are.
Oh, I'm 54. So does that mean I'm closer to the end than you are, Charlie? Is that what you're saying, man? I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that. Okay.
he's
Um.
he's my age, so there you
Oh,
go.
you guys are
We're
sprouts.
we're,
Okay.
we're youngsters compared to.
Yes. Yeah. You've got almost a whole segment of school between your
Yes.
age and my age. I mean, there's enough years to have gone through it all again, which is kind of funny to think. But
Oh, he's saying that they live for kids. They live being the Rowdy Piper movie. That's what he meant. Okay.
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what it. Yeah,
They live for kids. Okay.
yeah, it
Yeah,
kind of is. Yeah, with her
I
being able
got that.
to use the glasses to see. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
it's a good call.
Yeah, I'd seen that movie like once, like a long time
Oh
ago. So
yeah, it's
yeah,
been a
I
while.
didn't make that connection. Um, so we we see part of Dizzy's issue that she's been having is she's been having to shoulder a lot of stuff by herself on her own. Um, Here as the protector of the city, but also just kind of in life, being an only child to a mother that is a single parent. So I mean, there's several instances of lots of pressure for one person to bear. It seems to be
Yeah.
a theme that is used, that is reflected in the book. And at the end of the third issue, while she was still possessed, she went off on her own, uh, dissing her friends and saying she didn't need them for that reason because
Mm.
she was going to take care of it on her own. Well, she succumbed to the evil, and her friends realized it, and her friends came to help her, even though she had said no, she doesn't need their help. That is maintained throughout the rest of this issue because they start tackling this big agglomeration or conglomeration, I'm not
Mhm.
sure which would be the better word, of the negatrixes, to the extent that they split up and actually have different jobs. You come over here and distract. You go over here and you take care of moving all the people out of the way so they're out of harm's way. Uh, Me and her will go over here and we'll attack the monster directly. And so I mean, she's really working as a team, uh, such that in one case here, I believe it is Scarlet. Let me see. Yeah, it's Scarlet that she gives her little um, wrist shooter thingy to, that
Oh
lets
yeah,
out the
yeah.
positive emotion
Hmm.
to kill him. And so they get close, and like Dizzy distracts, and the other girl's in a better position. So Dizzy gives her some of the equipment that she's kind of been
Hmm.
kind of jealously guarding, using, and to attract or to dispatch the negatrixes at one point, and it works. But in doing so, it destroys that excuse me. Well, I don't need to do that. Sorry.
There you
Okay.
go.
Yeah, I do have a mute button here. So anyway, sorry.
Technology.
Yeah, technology. I'm on video and it's throwing me and all this. I want to pick my nose so bad, but it's
Oh
yeah.
jeez.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just kidding.
Um,
No.
okay. Don't. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, no, no. Um, the the gun that she uses, her big weapon, gets destroyed, and they all come together. Oh no, what are we going to do? Well, we'll figure something out. And they kind of pump each other up talking, and come to find out, Dizzy remembers being told that the weapon is not a weapon so much as it is something that allows her to harness.
Right. Yeah.
And so when she says that, all 4 of the girls realize that they can use this good feeling, happy energy to attack the Negatrixes, and so the final battle is with all 4 of the girls, only one of which is really supposed to be the protector,
Right.
protecting the town and getting rid of the Negatrixes and basically setting the town's um, emotion back on the even keel that it was.
Right.
Um, I kind of suspect that because this town had a protector, that was one of the things that really started drawing all of these negatrixes there,
Mhm.
which precipitated all of the bad feelings and bad changes and everything like that. So it was kind of like that theory that you've seen in Marvel comics a lot, where people will say the bad guys are here because you are here, hero,
Right. Yeah.
rather than any other kind of
Yep.
mix that there could be, and so I think that theme also was kind of played on in the writing of the story. I suspect that things wouldn't have gotten so bad if Dizzy had not been the protector. If if
Mhm.
she had just been Dizzy, yeah, there might have been some things happen and some changes that they didn't like, but not this big, profound kind of like handcuffing that really seemed to happen to the kids there for a little while.
Yeah.
So we end here. Her and her mom kind of make up a little bit. They had a little tiff. Um, Dizzy and this dude, what's his name? Chipper. They make up. She brings him a trophy. He is their trainer and also um, the trainer for the other girls. It, they train almost striking me like a roller derby team, which that's probably a personal thing because I'm really missing a lack of flat track roller derby right now with the
Oh, really?
pandemic. Yeah, about 3 4 years ago, my wife and I really started getting into it,
Yeah.
and right about halfway through that, the pandemic hit, and so it's like, nope, sorry. Um, I keep hoping to see teams starting to practice, and we can start looking around for matches again. And yeah,
Mhm.
um, and so at the very end here, the girls are good. Dizzy's home, and she takes a text, although it's not a text because it's a video. I don't know why they called it a text, but there's a girl here that says, "My name is B Jinx, and I need your help." And then it says, "Rollers gear up" as the very final panel.
Mhm.
So that you know most definitely leaves it open if Fontana and crew want to come back
Oh, yeah, for sure.
and do that, which I kind of suspect they will. I haven't heard necessarily that sales on this were bad. Um, it probably will equate to a lot of their uh, books of this ilk. They do them moderately well because they continually do this type of book, so they must
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
So I suspect that at some point, I don't know this year, but within memory, we'll get a Getting Dizzy Volume 2 of some sort here.
Oh, I think so too. And I think one of the things, like you said, it's a, you know, Boombox and, tries to not fit in a certain lane as far as age groups and demographic or anything like that, but each book kind of has its
Mhm.
own area, its audience and it's trying to reach, but at the same time is very all ages, or all
Right,
audience. I
right.
hate saying all ages because as soon as you say that, people think, "Oh, it's good for a 5-year-old," or and that's
Well,
it.
yeah.
No, not really. I mean, it's each of these books sort of do have, I would say, you know, not an age limit, but like a minimum age
There's
requirement.
there's a sweet spot,
Right. Yeah.
which doesn't mean that it won't work elsewhere, but it
Right.
just means that it definitely will work here.
Oh, for sure.
So
And
yeah.
so, and I think a lot of these books they do really well on the on the book market as a trade paperback.
As a trade, yeah.
Not only to be on the shelf at a Barnes and Noble or something like that, but also in a library.
Yes,
Public libraries,
definitely.
school libraries, and stuff like that. So I do think some of these books, like for example, like Fence, if you remember
Mhm.
that series, it's like on its like they did the series, which was 5 or 6 issues or 7 issues or something like that, and then they went to just doing original graphic novels after that
Right, yeah,
because you know I don't know if it was because the single issue sales weren't really what they were, but the trade was. But I know that the trade, they really pushed the trade, and the trade did well in sales, and I think they're up to like volume 4, volume 5 of that now.
okay,
So they're really kind of so this Getting Dizzy is kind of one of those things where I think it works well as a single issue series, but I wouldn't be surprised to see, like you said, with a volume 2, seeing it be just a original graphic novel or something to that
sure.
effect, because you can spend more time, creative team can spend more time with it and stuff like that, and kind of get that, whatever they need to do. I feel like, and I may be completely off off the rail here, but thinking that original graphic novels, you're kind of on your own pace, and that you can, if it takes you a year to put together, it takes you a year to put together,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, I
thing.
think
So
so. Yeah, you don't have to worry about that, the periodic, what is it they call it in your profession, Chris? Isn't it called a draw?
yeah,
Or, you
yeah.
don't have to worry about the periodic draw having to have it done and
Yeah.
turned in, and yeah, so
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's, and this is, like I said, it's a good series. It was, a 4 issue, kind of in and out. The pacing was well. The artwork is great.
mhm,
The characterization is fine. So it's definitely one of those things that I think they can. And I say they, not just the creative team, but also Boom themselves use, because they're really big into, the book market and stuff like
mhm,
that.
yeah,
That they can really kind of push this thing once it gets to a trade paperback, which will probably be pretty soon. So, um, so yeah, so hopefully we'll get to see more of this down the road in some form or another. So don't give me this digital stuff. Don't give me digital short or anything. Give me trade paperback, original graphic
yes,
novel, or single
yes,
issues.
right here. We got
Yes, but
you're
I
right
need to
here.
be able to put it in my hand. So,
Yes,
and not just in my hand, but in the hands of the children.
many people. Remember the children.
Remember the children.
The children are our future.
Yes. All right, so let's dive into one of the first issues that came out this week. Let's talk about all new Firefly #1.
Alright.
So this is written by, it's all new creative team from the previous series. It's written by David M. Bouyer, illustrated by Jordi Perez, colored by Francesco Segala, with color assistance by Gloria Martinelli, who we just saw,
Yes.
letter by Jim Campbell, who we just saw, and designers Madison Goyette. So so this is created by Joss Whedon. I almost felt like I didn't need to say that, but I felt
Well,
like
yeah.
we'll say it anyway.
Doesn't that go
So
without saying? But okay.
yeah, it probably does go without saying. So this series is a direct sequel to the previous series. So if you read the previous series, great. This should be pretty easy for you. But if you didn't read the previous series, this issue does a pretty good job of getting you sort of eased into what the current environment is. So I don't want to pretend anyone read the previous series. I had an opportunity this past Wednesday to actually talk to somebody at a comic shop. This is very, I don't talk to people. I'm very antisocial. I don't like
He
to hear
says as he records a
I
podcast.
don't like to
Okay,
hear my own voice or anything like that.
okay,
Um,
wow.
but no, so the shop owner was telling somebody, "Oh, look, the new Firefly series." And asked him, "Did you ever watch the show? Did you see the movie?" The guy was like, "No." And then I keep forgetting how old I am, because he was like, "Oh yeah, I didn't see it." He said, "What network was that on?" And I was like, "It was on Fox." And he was like, "Oh yeah, so I didn't see it when it was on TV. I saw it years later when it was on DVD or whatever." And I'm like, Uh, I feel old.
Okay. Wow.
So
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, whatever. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Did you
so
tell him he was lucky to be able to watch the episodes in order? If he
yes, I did bring
watched
that
it
up
on
actually.
DVD, yeah, it's like,
I did bring
wow.
that up. So
I bet it
that's
made a lot more sense to you, didn't it?
yeah, I probably did because I told him I said that first episode I watched, I was like, what the frick's going on here?
Yeah, yeah, I was like, I
So
don't think that's the first episode, but okay.
yeah, we'll go with that. So Charlie, you have to talk to people at the shop. You work at the shop. They pay you to talk to
Oh,
people.
Charlie works at a comic shop?
Or at least he used to. I'm assuming he still does.
Well, he says I talk to people all the time at
I
the
don't think
comic
it's his
shop.
full time job. He may
Oh,
feel like
okay.
it's his full time job.
Oh,
I don't even know what your full time job is anymore. Is it still working at Amazon? If so, I'm sorry.
is that not you? Oh, no.
He's told me a lot of horror stories. So
Ah,
so so yeah, so we got talking about this series, and I said, the same thing I just said. It's a continuation and a continuation of the previous series and this, that, and everything. I said, but you don't need to have read any of that. You don't need to have watched the show. I had already read this issue prior to getting to the shop, thanks to the preview copies that we get. So I went in there knowing, that uh, what it was about. So the guy ended up buying the issue, which I was excited for.
cool.
Um,
Hopefully
so
he keeps it up. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm sorry, Charlie had left Amazon back several years ago, back in
Ah,
2017. I am way out of touch with people who I call my friends. Apparently, we don't talk about jobs. That's not a fun thing. We talk about comics.
that's RL. We don't do
Yeah,
RL
we don't
here.
do our so so the series so this first issue, like I said, sort of sets up things. It's really focused. It's an issue that's focused on Jane and sort of who he is as a character, who what drives him, what motivates him, and stuff like that. So we get a flashback to when he was a kid, of him, stealing because he was stealing some medicine because someone needed it and they couldn't afford it, and he got caught, and so you're kind of feeling, oh well, he's a good guy, he's doing it for the greater good, and this and that and everything, and um and then we flash forward to the present where he's hanging out, in a bar somewhere, and someone comes busting in, like, are you Jane? He's like, yeah, and he calls him, like, he gave him some nickname or whatever that he had at some point in his career, and he's like, yeah, that's me and everything, and so the guy immediately decks him. It's like, oh, okay, well, this is, Firefly is a Western, it's a
Hmm.
space Western. So, I mean, you're expecting, if you're in a bar, someone's getting punched, or at least punched, shot maybe. And so, so it's one of those things like, it's expected. So he gets arrested, and then, Mal, who is no longer the captain of the ship, he shows up, and he then breaks him out of jail, which, he was like, I don't know if I should have done this, but I did, so let's go. But the whole time, it's just us, sort of, it's a day in the life of Jane. And so the interesting thing is that we've not really been kind of caught up to what's happened previously, and that's great. I don't think there was no need to know that. What this issue has done is sort of set up that this, you know this team, this ship, this crew is set up in this particular way. These are the characters. The thing that you were missing, in Angel, you're getting it in this issue.
Okay.
I like to sort of, connect things if I can. Means my brain's working, so
All right.
I have my memory and whatnot. So you
Thank
get to
word
know
order.
Jane a little bit. You get yeah, exactly. You get to know Mal a little bit. Get to know that Mal was the former captain of the ship. You find out that Kaylee is the current captain of the ship. So find out that Simon's, the medic, and all of this stuff. So you find out, who's who and what doing what on the ship. You find out what they do and all that. So it's a great introductory, issue that continues the story from where it previously was. The thing that I don't like seeing when we get a new number one or a new creative team. Um, you have to do it in a Marvel and DC environment. You sort of have to put the toys back where you found them. You know,
Mhm.
when as a creative team that you leave, or it's courtesy to do that. You don't
Right,
have to
yeah,
do that, but it's courtesy to do that. With this kind of property, you don't have to do that. It's a continuating story. So the things that happened in the TV show and the movie and everything happened in this universe, in this story. So this is just the continuation of that. So we get 36 issues of the previous series that sort of take us to a certain point. There's a little bit of a time jump and stuff like that, and then we get this issue, which is just another day, another day in their life. We do get a new creative team, which is cool because we get to see a new take on these characters. Um, I say new, but get sort of a different perspective of these
right.
characters. Um, so so the thing is, it's there are a couple moments in here that are really great where you know Kaylee's asking Mal, like is because there's a speech that she gives and all this other stuff, you know that was that becoming of a captain, or was a captain supposed to say something like that? And he's like, you're the captain, whatever you say is what the captain says. He's like, that's not for me to say. He said, I say things because that's who I am. You say things because that's who you are. Those kind of things. So he's trying to. She's a confident of character, but at the same time, having Mal, who was the former captain, being, it's like you're the boss now, but you still have the previous boss sitting right next to you.
Mhm.
And so you're constantly just like looking for advice, but also questioning yourself and all that. So it's going to be an interesting dynamic um, to see where that goes as the series goes on. I didn't read a lot of the previous series. I tried to. I definitely read the last like 4 or 5 issues, um, not realizing that the series was going to end and new series was going to start. But it did give me sort of a good catch up to where things were, where we were going and things like that. Um, so this issue again picks up there. The art in it is pretty good. There's some there's some stuff in it. It's a little different style. It's not as detailed as I'm accustomed to, which is fine. It's just going to take me a little bit of getting used to. Nothing about it I think is bad. The cartooning in it is on point. It's where it needs to be. There's nothing like really bizarre about anything. It's just me getting used to a new artist. That's all. Coloring in it is great. Lettering, Campbell almost can do no wrong. I don't want to say he can do no wrong because that would be setting him up for failure. So, but yeah, it's a good series. The book ends with a interesting statement by Mal about Jane, because that was sort of the whole point of this issue, was kind of getting an idea of who Jane is. And he sort of lets Kaylee know Jane is always going to revert to who Jane truly is, and that's someone who will work for the highest bidder, who will give him a clean bed and give him a paycheck. As long as that's you, you're good to go. So, and if you've read this, previous series, you will have seen moments like that. If you've watched this TV show, you will have seen moments like that. So it's not out of character for that statement, but sometimes it's hard. It's hard to be reminded that these lovable characters that you've grown to know, sometimes they're not all that they're cracked up to be. Um, so we get that in the first issue, which is interesting because I'm curious if it's foreshadowing for something down the road. So we'll see. But yeah, overall, great first issue. I highly recommend it. Whether you're familiar with Firefly or not, I think this is a good. It's an interesting dynamic for the crew, and this new creative team sort of did all it needed to do for a first issue. So,
Cool, cool.
so I'm excited to see what's next. All right, what you got?
Berserker number 4.
4 means 7.
7. 4?
Good job.
7. Yeah, I don't know what the 4 is.
So,
Can't
out of
read my own writing.
curiosity, you did the Kickstarter. We've talked about this in the past.
Yes.
Have you gotten anything yet? Because I know that they were releasing the trade.
I did get the first trade.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right. Want to make sure
And
that those were coming out.
yeah. So I guess what 4 issues. So yeah, it'll be another couple months, and then
Yeah,
another month or two after that to get the second trade.
yeah, yeah. And then
All
they'll
right.
send you a big omnibus. No,
Yeah. No. No, I
that'd be
didn't.
nice.
I didn't buy that one. Yeah. No, they won't send it to me, but they will offer it to me for
Oh,
sale.
I'm
Is
sure they
is
will.
and here's an omnibus if you want. No, I've got yeah.
I may
So
buy that. So.
and it's I don't think it would be as necessary as some other stories that we've read, but reading this in an omnibus it would be different. It
Yeah.
would definitely give it a different feel than what we've
Mhm.
had because um, there's every 4 issues there's a longer break, and then there's more than a month I think between issues, hasn't
Oh
there
yeah,
been?
for sure.
Like
Yeah.
6 weeks maybe or
Yeah,
something
and
like that.
it varies between issues too, because it
Hmm.
was. I mean, it felt like 1 and 2 came out pretty quick once one finally came out,
Right.
and then there seemed to be a little break in between 2 and 3 or so. Yeah. So it's not hit a regular schedule, because 6 came out quite a while back.
Yeah, a while back.
So so Charlie said he's going to wait for the Blu-ray. So
Okay,
um, they are
that's
doing a
fair.
movie and an animated
And an
series in Netflix.
animated, yeah.
So so you may have to wait for that. So
Created for us by let me see here. Yeah, we'll start created. Keanu Reeves, which I guess is the not that the story itself isn't interesting, and actually it has kind of with this particular issue, it's kicked into very interesting for me
yeah,
because
yeah,
of what happened in this issue. But I guess that's the main selling point for the story for the book is that Keanu Reeves is as involved as he is. Not only did he create it, he has a hand in writing it, and
right.
of course, the character is him. I
Yeah.
mean, B, although that's not his name, but we.
He doesn't have a name. He's just always referred to as B.
I thought back in his youth that his
Oh
mom
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
dad
Yeah, you're
threw
right.
out a name at him. Yeah, they Berserker. I guess that's what the B stands for. Now it'd be funny if that B stands for something else, and
It's
we've just
Billy.
been yeah, Brobdingnagian or something
Yeah,
like that. I
exactly.
don't know, but so they call him B. Written by with the assist of Matt Kent as well as Keanu.
That's a good assist.
It's
Yeah.
he could do he could have more difficulty. I'll
Oh, for
say that
sure.
in
Yeah,
writing. Yeah.
yeah.
So illustrated by Ron Garney, colored by Bill Crabtree, lettered by Clem Robbins. The character designs are by Ron Garney and Raphael Grappa.
Mhm.
The logo design is Michelle Ankley, designed by Grace Park, and we have special thanks to Adam Yolen, Stephen Christie, and Ross Ritchie. What's with this Ross Ritchie guy? Why are they even? Yeah, I don't know. Um, so Berserker, for those that may not be aware, is the story of an immortal warrior. Okay, so the next book we're going to talk about it. No, it's. I
That's
mean,
pretty much it. Yeah.
that's the I don't know the elevator pitch. That's the entire pitch. It's about an immortal warrior. He was birthed somewhere in the middle part of
It's
some
like 80,000
continent.
years
Some,
ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's the now the doctor here, the archaeologist,
Well, yeah.
anthropologist, whatever the
Yeah.
guy. I think it's archaeology that they keep throwing out.
Yeah.
Says that Berserker lived through the younger Dryas, which really caught my ear because I'm a geologist by training,
Mhm.
and the younger Dryas is not something that you just hear thrown out in polite conversation. It's just that's a little headier than most people just throw out there. But
Right.
it's the name of a anyways. Um, theoretically, the Earth has gone through multiple ice ages. Depending on who you listen to, the Earth has gone through multiple, just about anything you can conceive of, really.
Oh, for sure.
Multiple
Yeah.
civilizations, multiple atomic wars, multiple, yeah. So um, the geologic record indicates that we have had multiple ice ages, and in between, we have multiple warming ages.
Mhm.
And the most recent ice age, we are in the period in between ice ages right now, which I always find fascinating because if the ice age is the advancing, the cooling of the Earth, right? Then a period in between ice ages would be a warming of the Earth.
Mhm.
But the Earth warming right now is a bad thing. So I'm not sure how all of that meshes together. But
Depends on where the lines go.
I guess how fast it warms or what.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but yeah. So basically, Keanu has lived through the most recent fullest extent of a glaciation, an ice age,
Mhm.
the coldest of the ice age. So he um 80,000 years I don't think would be enough to put him in between the previous,
Right.
but it's pretty close. So he has lived long enough to distinctly see things get cold and then the ice age like we are in now recede. And they really bring this home with a sequence in the book of where he is by himself in whatever mountain hilly
Mhm.
areas, and he kills a saber tooth, what I assume, what I take to be a saber
Yeah.
tooth tiger,
That's what I thought. Yeah.
although the saber tooth is white pelted. And I don't think I've ever seen a saber tooth tiger white pelted. They're always jungle colored or
Yeah.
brownish colored for plains desert living. Um, but I don't know. I mean, if they lived then, I don't know why they could not have had white pelts. But that jumped out, no pun intended, that
Mhm.
jumped out at me that it was white pelted. But this, he, he's talking. Well, the book starts with him building up one of his nuclear meltdown energy explosion things in the first. He can do this, and this is one of the, I think, main methods that has allowed him to be a warrior for as long as he has, is because he always has this in his back pocket.
Yeah.
So, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he was the one that they sent out to try to get Hitler out, and he blew up like this, and it's what blew up Hitler's bunker, or
Right. I didn't
something
think about that, but yeah, that'd
something
be
goofy
interesting.
like that. Just you.
Yeah.
Well, Hitler is packed in there, and we don't want to risk anybody, and we know you can't die, so go get him.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it would be very fitting. But he has this ability to I think it's the same energy that has kept him alive,
Mhm.
and he's able to release it, probably killing himself. But since he can't be killed, he recovers from the
Yeah.
expulsion or the usage of this energy. So the book opens with him somewhere covered in what looks like probes or monitors, and he's
Mhm.
building up this energy, and he's being told just to let it out, and then it just cuts to something completely unrelated.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. I mean, it's a really harsh jump. Um, and where it is the opening sequence is current. That is the very now that you're reading the book.
Mhm.
We jump back to a week prior, and he is talking to an archaeologist, anthropologist. I did that a minute ago. I think it's archaeologist. They say he is, and I don't know that. Is this a dude that the female doctor has talked to, or is this a
Yes.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I
This
didn't.
is the guy who's in charge of it all.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So he is talking to B about stuff. B B is being used to make corrections to history, which I think is funny.
Right. Yeah.
Because he was there. He lived through it. He has direct knowledge. He has read the languages. He can make the translation. He can, and it's like, well, that's profound. I don't
Hmm.
care that the guy can kill. Anybody can kill, but the fact that you can speak Aramaic and you can directly translate, what Jesus said when he was handing out fish and bread, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, that's well, no, the library at Alexandria, they had it wrong. Yeah, it's like,
Well,
dude,
yeah, and that's the thing. He's like, "Here, I did my homework." You know,
yeah, yeah. It's
it's
like,
like,
can you correct it? Can you translate this? Can you, the advancement that he would have to make on all of these different what are they called, stelae that they haven't
mhm,
been able to translate. Dude was there.
yeah.
He spoke it. He maybe even wrote some of it. So it's like, well, give it to B, he'll figure it out. And basically that's what this archaeologist has him doing, until he has purposefully set out a uh, some type of ornate box because it can be opened.
Well,
But
this
it,
is what he went to go get in the last issue.
yeah, that's right. That's what he
Yeah,
sent him for.
yeah,
And we see here too. We find out why they
yeah,
even wanted it. But
yeah.
now, did you get the impression that this belonged to his dad?
I wasn't. You mean the archaeologist or B?
B,
Um,
that this box that they
they
had
kept
traced it all the way
alluding.
back to.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, they kept going back and
Okay,
saying how who had it before so and so who had it.
right.
Yeah, I felt like we were going to go back to some point, but B doesn't recognize it. So
But
that's why I'm
he
like, is he just not acknowledging that he knows it?
no, I think he recognizes it. I think that's what gets his interest is, oh, now of course he doesn't know this that's inside it because that has happened since. But I think he recognized it, and that's what piqued his curiosity about it.
Well, I mean, yeah, and he could just be playing dumb. I mean,
Well,
just
yeah,
to just to not tip his hand.
right. There has got to be something about his life that he holds close to his
Oh
chest
yeah.
before
Oh
he,
yeah.
so it's why not something like this where they think, but they need him to confirm, but he doesn't want to confirm because
Right.
he knows he'll be giving something away. So
I
this,
did pick up on something like that.
yeah,
Yeah.
this give and take of, what do you know? Well, I know this. What do you know? Well, maybe that,
Yeah.
without either one just laying all the cards out and saying, okay, here we go. This
Well,
is,
and there's even a point later on in the issue where the the professor brings up the idea that they're trying to locate the original spot of his birth,
mhm,
and then also having to sort of it's a needle in a haystack kind of thing. They're trying to match energy signatures, and so it's one of those things where once they figure out where that location is, then all of these other answers, how to kill B will become a reality
right, right. And
potentially.
he has said, of course, that that's what he wants, but
Right.
then there has to be some element of preservation that's like, well, don't give everything away and let them
Right.
just rush in and be able to figure this out.
Right. Because he knows what they're planning on doing. He knows that they're using and testing him to create their own.
Yeah, of course he
But
does.
the professor is trying to be like so sly about his the way he's describing this this box and everything and the technology that it has and how old it is and where it comes from and like you said, B probably knows all this already, and this guy is trying to like, oh, look at all this information that I know.
Right, yeah,
And B's like, I live. You're literally telling me I lived through all of this, so I know this, but you're talking to me as if I don't know this.
and I I don't think B wants him necessarily to know that he know.
Right.
It's that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The archaeologist is telling B what he knows, to a point, but then B doesn't want to let on that he knows what the dude knows and more.
Yeah.
Eh, it's like, well, you tell me first what you think, and then I'll decide what I want to tell you after I know what you know.
Yeah.
I it you know, I really dig the map here of his movements where they have used
Oh
all of
yeah.
these different things to track where he has been
Yep.
and for how long and things like that. That's just yeah.
Yep.
Um, so for those of you also that might not be familiar with the story, um, this immortal working uh, with the U.S. government.
Yeah.
He does things for the government that basically no one else can because he's immortal. In return, the government is giving B what he most desires. And hopefully for him, that is the ability to choose when and where he dies, because as far as he knows right now, he can't. And after, like Chris, you said, after 80,000 years, I guess maybe he's hankering to kind of flip the switch,
Yeah.
pull the trigger, as it
Yeah.
were. Um,
I've seen all of these
I've
movies.
seen it all, done it all, been there. It's um, puts me in mind of a concept from Highlander, where how disconcerting it would be that you live and never age, but the person that you love ages
Oh
unto
yeah.
death. I mean, you
Yep.
see that entire portion of their life, and in return, they see that you are not joining them.
Yeah.
That would have to be, and who knows how many times he has gone through something like that. We
Yeah.
saw a montage of it. Actually, it cost him at one point. He got run off because the dad of the girl knew that he
Oh
was like
yeah.
that, knew that
Yeah.
his daughter was not, and didn't want that
Hmm.
conflict for his daughter. But so at some point here, because of, I don't know, discussing technology, this might have been where I think he drops his knowledge of the younger Dryas after this. But B starts remembering when he was directly at the edge of the glaciation.
Hmm.
Uh, if you were smart enough to understand what was going on, you could walk and keep up with the extent of the ice sheet as it expanded. And were you to live long enough, you could move beyond it. And
Hmm.
and so there was the potential for people who were alive at that time to experience it, but then be able to move somewhere that the cold and the weather and the animals and everything that was on the front edge of that advancing ice, that was no longer an issue. You could, like, in essence, you could walk out of the weather.
Yeah.
And if you set up and your people lived again long enough, the weather would pull back from them as the ice sheets melted. But we're talking massive amounts of
Oh
time,
yeah.
even though it
Yeah.
occurred slowly. The advancing and receding was over vast periods of time.
Hmm.
He has conceivably been around long enough to experience it and um, be able to remember what it was like. And so all of his other memories have been war zones and the kind of weather that we encounter now. Here in this issue, he is remembering what it was like to be caught in that advancing ice sheet where everything was cold and snowy and wintry all the time. Um, and so this is where the now now that I look at this creature, this might not be a saber-toothed tiger. It
Hmm.
may be some other kind of animal because it looks a little different. Could just be the artist's rendition,
True.
Garney's
Yeah.
take on it, but it doesn't necessarily look to me as cat-like as other renditions of the saber-toothed tiger were. So maybe that's not what it's supposed to be, but it certainly gives you that feeling.
Yeah.
So we start marching back as the archaeologist here. I'm at this section where he's talking about the who is it, the Olmec or the Toltec? The Olmec.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
all back yeah.
they told me not to tell. Um,
That was great.
yeah, B with a sense of humor.
I know.
Wow. Um,
This issue actually has probably been the most, I don't want to say normal that he has acted, but normal is probably the easiest thing to say. But I mean, just sort of not laid back, but just casual conversation,
yeah,
yeah, making a joke and stuff
he
like that.
interacted
Yeah,
and talked and was quiet and thought, and whereas normally we just see him sitting over in the corner stoic,
right. Yeah,
as they're transporting him to his next murder
yeah.
scene, and but yeah, here it was like, here is someone that has experienced something talking with someone who wants to learn about what they experienced, and
Hmm.
so that give and take was the entire issue based on this box, this trinket holding box that, like you said, they sent him to retrieve last issue, and he brought back. Um, we see it traced back, uh, the begets, A beget B beget C.
Hmm.
They all had it, and they trace it all the way back to the Babylonian Empire. Empire, is that right? Babylonian Empire, I guess. And Well, he's older than the Babylonians, though, so that couldn't have been his dad. But I still think that he recognized the box.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, that's the thing.
And so they go back, and the archaeologist convinces him that a technique that they need to use to find out ultimately where he is from is, and that's where he is from, like geographically, not like
Mhm.
figuratively, but in real life, where he's from is being buried 2 miles, which, right? Was it buried 2 miles?
He was buried. I thought it was buried a mile, but then I saw the two, so I didn't know. Maybe
Well,
that's two
is that
miles.
is that distance from the epicenter?
Maybe that's distance. Yeah.
Yeah, see, at first I thought that they said they were going to bury him 2 miles. Then I'm like, really? Can they get 2 miles in the ground?
Well, it
I
just says
I
we're
guess
gonna
some
dig a
mines can.
hole and bury you.
Okay,
Is But no,
so
it does say 2 miles deep with no way out. Yeah, they do
okay,
say that.
and
Yeah.
these there's placards here as everyone is retreating that is marked 1 and 2 miles also.
Right.
So
And
uh,
that's what threw me off. Yeah, with those
2
markers.
miles vertically and 2 miles laterally, it
Yeah.
seems. And then to finish the book, we see the scene that we saw at the beginning of the book where he is we see now that he is buried in this cubicle, again, maybe being monitored or something,
Yeah.
releasing this whatever energies that he has.
Hmm.
And that's going to allow them to measure something, or to, yeah, something scientifically about releasing this energy
Yeah.
will be able to help them pinpoint his geographic origin.
Hmm.
Kind of specious to me, but that's okay.
Well, they kept calling it Protocol X, and he asked why do they call it that? Um, because X marks the spot, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah, okay.
I was like, all right, so it's kind of a dumb name, but all right, well,
Well, yeah, I'm
because
not
it
sure what
sounded
to do.
cool, very mysterious. It's Protocol X. I'm like,
Yeah.
why do you call it that? Because I'm gonna have claws at the end of this? They're like,
Oh,
no,
there
it's
you go.
no, it's because it's
Is that you with the deep cut?
that's definitely what that was.
Okay.
Ha 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 ha. So, uh, now one thing that we sort of hemmed and hawed around, we're talking about this box and the technology and everything. I don't want to spoil what's inside the box. I think
No, but it's cool.
it's a cool thing,
Yeah.
which provides a very interesting scene um, once the box is opened. But I do want to point that out. Don't sort of, we do go into sort of in-depth conversations about the whole book and everything like that. But I know some people are like, well, I don't have to read it now. Like, no, 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 you still need to read
Oh,
these
yeah.
things. Don't,
No.
um, just because. Trust me. The what's in the box is probably been what's been one of the better what's in the box kind of
Yeah, yeah,
reveals that I've seen in a while. Uh,
it's not what I where I thought they were gonna be going
no,
with it.
no, not at all. And I was just like, huh, that's kind of cool. All right.
Yeah,
And then the explanation and all the background, and I was just like, oh, well, that is an interesting piece of technology. All right. I am thoroughly enjoying this book. I do wish it came out more regularly.
yeah,
I know once it's done and over with, going back and rereading it as a collected edition or something to that effect, it none of that will be a bother or whatever like that. But I'm very in the moment. We're doing a show, we want to talk about this stuff. Um, I would much rather have it be more frequent, but this is, in my opinion, I really really enjoy the first issue, and they've all been good, but this issue has probably been my favorite since the first issue.
yeah, I
There was
agree.
so much, and there's so little that happens. I mean, it's two guys sitting down talking about stuff. There's a lot of flashbacks, and stuff like that, but it's not. This is the least bloody,
Oh,
brutal. I mean, the cat is like the worst part where he gets gutted, and like a blue jay decides he wants to take a piece of meat. And that was a
right.
little weird, but other than that, it's just two guys sitting here talking, you know, and probably one of the better issues. And I think it mainly because it sort of provided more of that backstory that we just really hadn't been getting, and
Mhm,
not necessarily backstory about B, but just sort of like what is the motivation behind the people that are doing, other than I want to make a super soldier. That is a thing, but at the same time, this archaeologist definitely had like his reasoning, and I don't feel this was the villain monologue or anything like
mm,
that. It was just, hey, this is a thing that I have been wanting to do all my life, and here we are. That we are so close, and it's going to help me, and it's going to help you, and probably help everybody else in the world. But primarily, it's going to help me and you. You know, so yeah, just a solid issue. It sort of reinvigorated me. I was like, I've been enjoying
um,
it. It's a good action book, but this definitely
well,
sort
I thought that the story, as far as my feeling for the story, it had kind of plateaued and it
yeah.
had maintained for a while.
Yeah.
But now, uh, my interest is on an upswing again.
Yep.
So just to have one more issue and take another break, because it'll
Well,
be
yeah.
issue 8. So yeah,
Yeah, and I forgot to look to see when issue 8 is supposed to be coming out, so hopefully it won't be out too far from now, 5 or 6 weeks maybe. So, either way. So, we got 2 books left. I know I'm what you want me to talk about, and I'm going to talk about it right now because it's the other number 1 issue that came out this week.
okay.
It's the Killer Affairs of the State number 1. This is a book I've sort of
It was
uh, I've talked about.
our 33 issue novel here. It was like just, a prose piece with a picture or two. Whew, yowza.
Oh man, yeah. So written by Maz, illustrated by Luke Jacquemon. Jacquemon.
Check them on.
Jacquemon. English translation is Edward Gouvin. Letter by N World Design. Lots
Grace
of
Park.
variant cover. Yeah, there you go. Designer is Grace Park. I was looking down the credits and there's a ton of variant covers.
Do you know
Holy
what
well,
language it was translated from?
French.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is this a bidet that's been bidet? Is that the
See,
word for it?
I thought
BD
this
bidet?
was a new like a new book, but
I
apparently it's not.
Yeah, I thought it was too, but then it's like, oh, translated.
So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. So
so I'm on board. Um, see, I have all of the. If you're checking us out on YouTube, I'm showing if you're on the podcast, I'm showing a nice little hardcover.
how
I
many is there?
l-
Just the one?
I no, this is volume 3. If I put it in front of the camera
Oh,
correctly,
woof.
this is
Okay.
volume 3. I think this particular miniseries, Affairs of the State, is the 6th miniseries. I think that's true.
Has
It's either
Archaea put them all out over here?
uh Yes, because I've got volumes 1 through 3 of the hardcovers. I did have the original issues, but now I have the hardcover.
Do you?
I don't have 4 yet,
Okay.
but I haven't looked for it either. So and I don't know if 5 is already. I'm sure 5 is already out there, but that's where I kind of like. It's either 5 or 6. I forget which one we're on. So, but either way, I've been a fan of this ever since I got introduced to it back when Archaea was just Archaea. Um, but it's been it's been fun. It's been fun to read. This particular series, and I did not go back and try and pick up the previous miniseries so I can sort of get where we are because I don't know if where we start this miniseries is how the previous miniseries ended. We are told in the solicitations that the killer is all he's known as. He was captured and instead of sent to prison or put to death or whatever, he was sort of, we need your skills. The government said we need your skills, and so now he works for the government, sort of begrudgingly, which is kind of tropey, but at the same time, I like it. So this particular miniseries, I'm not really sure entirely what we're going for yet. But this particular issue sort of sets you up as a reader of where he is, sort of the environment he is. He's working in an office building. This is his sort of undercover position. He is trying to not make people pay attention to him. He's using all of his training, and the unfortunate thing is, all of his training is making him stand out more than actually is trying to blend in. So he realizes that as he gets toward the end of this issue. So that's sort of his office life, his home life, and stuff like that. But the meat of this particular issue is him working with a new team, with a handler as well as a partner. Um, and if you are coming into this book, a book that is called The Killer, you probably have some preconceived notions of what this book may or may not be. This is a spy thriller from start to finish. This is about this is every sort of spy, assassin, hitman kind of movie you may have watched or novel you may have read put to pictures. It is there's nothing flashy about this book by any stretch of the imagination. I think the artwork is great. It's very its own thing. I flipped open this book, went in a couple pages, and I was like, it is literally exactly like the hardcovers that I have. Like like there is no missed beat as far as the art goes. The characterization, again, it's been a little while since I've read it, so as far as tone and stuff like that, it feels familiar enough. So I feel like it's as far as wanting to go back and read previous stuff if you've read this and liked it. I feel it's pretty close. I mean, again, I still need to go back and read that stuff. I put it here on my desk so I would read it, and then I never did. So I get easily distracted. So, but this particular issue is, yeah, exactly. Is the he's given a mission. Like I said, he has a handler now, a partner, and this particular issue is nothing but surveillance. That's all it is. As Ed's eyes
Mm,
roll, this
oh,
is a slow burn. It's a 6 issue
yes,
miniseries. I will
yes.
say when the action is here, the action is intense. I don't know if it will be for this, but I know in previous things it has been. Um, it is. I feel like I'm having to justify it. I don't know why.
No,
It's just I just it's maybe it's just I'm so used to reading the hardcover, the collected edition, as far as it goes. And it's also been a while. You kind of forget. Oh yeah, this is maybe like you said can be seen as more of a novelization of a thing, and then we put some pictures in there to sort of break up the words. Um, but I had a good time with it. It's definitely a setup issue. It really just sort of establishes who each character is in their current situation. Um, you get a little as far as dynamics go, as far as motivations and stuff like that, um, and sort of how our lead is handling interacting with different characters. Um, but yeah, it is all surveillance in this issue, and that may drive you insane if you've never read this kind of stuff before. My suggestion would be to, if you somewhat enjoyed anything about it, I would definitely recommend picking up the next issue. Let that. I haven't read it, so I don't know anything about it, but I'm just saying at least at least grab two issues and then kind of form an opinion at that point. You're
In
third way into the story at that point. So
right, in the movie world, I would be fine at this
right,
point,
yeah,
so that it's, um, I don't know, I just
you can say it.
it's
Go ahead.
one, okay, the and even now, the vast majority of my comic book reading is capes, um, capes with a few exceptions, Chris Claremont being an exception,
Right,
is not the biggest on words because it is fight. It is good guy,
right,
bad guy fight,
mhm,
whatever. The words are kind of secondary to set up the fight, which you're not going to fight in words. That's the visual, So I mean, it's overly visually oriented,
right,
typically, and that's the vast majority of what I read now. If I'm not reading that, I also read something like, Hellboy, which is
mhm,
not fighting, but it's the exact same thing. It's a
yeah,
very visual forward kind of storytelling. Um, off the top of my head, I can't really think of something that I read that typically is more prose.
right,
Probably because I tend to stay away from that.
yeah,
Um, at night, before I go to sleep, I read prose
yeah.
just to kind of hopefully keep those muscles in shape.
Just to relax you.
I'm actually, I just started here this week, that All the Marvels book by that dude who read, like, all the Marvel superhero books from Fantastic Four to, like, 2018 or
Oh,
something like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and condensed it, did, all I think All the Marvels is the name of it, so I've been reading that. But it just it seemed very day in the life of with text,
Yeah.
and I can't help but think, "Hmm, wow, is a comic book the best way to do that?" You know, that that's all.
So I will say this. I am no expert um on European comics.
Yes,
I
yeah.
am very my knowledge of them are very and not even knowledge, my experience with them is very limited. It's the killer, and then there's a lot of stuff that Magnetic Press has put out.
Yes, right now, Magnetic is, yeah.
Yeah, and so I've picked up on purpose, not by accident. I didn't trip and fall and I bought their
Whoops,
book.
oh,
Yeah, it's
look at
not
that.
that, but it's like with a conscious effort because I have not been exposed to a lot of European comics, graphic novels, and that such, that I made a point of picking up probably 7 or 8 books in the last 2 years.
Okay,
Um, all wide variety of storytelling, genre, artwork, everything. And that was sort of just for exposure, just so I can read something that I'm not used to reading.
mhm.
It all felt a lot like this does.
Yes, you're right.
So not as far as like same story, same setup, that kind of, but it had sort of a very similar feel to it. So it makes me feel like that is a European style of doing
Yeah,
things.
it must be how thing if it's not a humor, like a Tantan or an
Right.
Asterisk or, one of those, then yes, this is a more particularly with their contemporary books, and even more so with their spy kind of
Yeah.
books. Even so much, I think for this one, the art definitely struck me
Oh
as
yeah.
having, if not being European, then having a strong European influence as
Yeah.
far as the artist.
Yeah.
But now that I find out that this is translated, it's like, well, no, no, there's not just an influence. That
Yeah.
is the
That's
market that
correct.
this
Yeah.
originated at. So yeah, it's or Smurfs. It's not like the
Smurfs. Yeah.
Smurfs,
Yeah.
but which I've also been reading
Yeah.
too.
Neat.
But yeah, you're right. As soon as I got 2 or 3 pages in, I was like, yeah, this feels like a Franco-Belgian
Yeah.
comic
Yeah.
or a German translation, or
Yeah.
but yeah, it had uh, at the very least a much more European feel than you know Berserker
Yeah.
or
Oh, for
House of
sure.
Slaughter,
Yeah.
or so.
And that's the thing about Archaea, and I wish, I think I even I tweeted about it when I finished reading this issue, that when I see Archaea on the cover, I know I'm about to get into a book that's going to excite me because I don't see it very often. And that means a lot of different things, but part of it is I don't feel like I read these kind of comics very often just because they're not something that I come across, in my comic shop. So it's one of those things where I kind of have to go out and make sure that I'm picking it up. So if if this kind of stuff is interesting to you, you've never checked it out. Again, I'm no expert by any stretch of the imagination. I would, and you know where I'm going with this, Ed. I would recommend checking out Pipeline Podcast or Pipeline Comics, Augie DeBleek's website, and it's all about Franco-Belgian comics and stuff like that.
From a
Um,
North American
from a
perspective.
North American perspective, well, that is until he gets his dual citizenship.
Belgium,
Yeah,
a Belgian passport. Yeah,
yes, because he wants the passport. So it's a weird collector thing, but I listened to that podcast and I was like, you know what?
he
I totally get it.
he justified it in a way
Yeah,
that
it
that makes
it
sense.
made
Okay,
total sense. Yeah,
okay, I
exactly.
gotcha.
So, but yeah, so obviously I'm going to continue, reading this and wanting to check out more. Um, I have to say, and I'm using my camera more, with this episode than I ever have. This John Boy Myers variant. I have cover A in the mail. It's on the way, but this was the John Boy.
That's not
Variant.
bad. Yeah,
They also have the Virgin cover of this. The comic shop that I get my stuff at didn't have it, but I would have preferred this one anyway. Um, it was striking on the cover on the shelf, and so I was like, I know I'm gonna already have. I'm gonna go ahead and pick this one up, so
um,
so I could have it.
if you enjoy digital comics,
Mhm.
Comixology Europe Comics
Oh yeah, yeah,
is the company that has been for the past 3 or 4 years really translating a lot of the primarily Franco-Belgian, but I don't think
mhm.
that's the only originating, uh, to the tune of 6, 8 volumes of things a month that
Oh,
come
okay,
out
cool.
if you just watch.
Yeah,
Now, the thing that I have noticed is that if you watch over a period of, say 4 to 6 months,
mm,
you you will get 2 or 3 volumes of different books. So all of the books coming out won't be different. Some
right.
of them will be the next chapter of some of the
Yeah,
volumes. But yeah, I have noticed in the past handful of years that that is occurring a lot more. And I don't
yeah.
know if that's because I'm looking or if that is actually a change. But
Well, I mean, for me, anytime Augie talks about a book, you know, on his podcast or writes about it on his website or whatever, I at least get on a Comixology or Amazon or something like that to look for it
mhm,
and see, even Diamond, see if I can get it through my retailer. But just, some of that stuff, I could get out of control with that,
oh, sure,
because some of
that's
the
yeah.
stuff has looked really good. The previews that I've seen, I've downloaded stuff off of Comixology just to check
Mhm.
it out. Yeah, I could go down a rabbit hole for quite some time with some of that stuff, just visually, not even having read the book, but just the artwork in it on a lot of those things are just things I hadn't checked out before. Now, yes, I could easily pick up, you know, heavy metal or 2000 AD or something like that and get some of that,
Uh,
but I always feel both of those are very sci-fi oriented.
yeah, those are different animals than this. I mean,
Yeah.
particularly like this, you would not see, I don't think, this serialized
Oh
in
no,
heavy metal.
no, no,
It's
no.
a different audience.
But I'm talking
So,
more like along the lines of like the art style and those kind of things. I've seen
mm,
back when humanoids used to do like meta barons and all
y-
that.
yes,
Yeah,
humanoids. Yeah, back in the, I mean, they still do, but
not
predominantly most of the volumes I see come out through this European comics
yeah.
company.
I'll have to check that out. But yeah, so that's the killer. Affairs of the State. Be curious to hear what other people think about it, especially if this is the first time you've ever read it. Um,
It definitely makes me want to look to see if I can get a hold of some of the earlier stuff
mhm.
because um, this is, some portion into an ongoing story,
Yeah, yeah,
and m- maybe having read previous installments, not necessarily all of them, but just, and then having a familiarity with the way the writer writes with the character, maybe that will help me um, sit sit back for this while I read
yeah,
it, and
yeah.
rather than sitting up and wanting things to happen, sit back and just let whatever's
Mhm.
going to happen happen. I mean, 6 issues, that's not a real long story, so
No,
obviously things are going to pick up relatively quickly
yeah, I
because
would hope so. Yeah,
they only have 5 more books to tell it in, and this was what, a 30 about a 30-page book,
yeah,
25 to
yeah.
30 page. So, yeah, they'll have to pick it up. And I didn't say I didn't like it. It was just much
Right.
more difficult for me to get through than, like I say Berserk,
Yeah,
you know.
it's not a problem, man. I'm all about it.
I'll
All
read it
right.
and see what it is, and like I say, I might see what I can do about getting a previous volume or 2 to read.
Yeah, be curious to see what you think. All right, so we got one last book on the list. It is the last issue of a story arc.
And I will say, this probably is my most liked of the 5.
Really? Okay.
Yes, yes, because something happened, along the lines of well, yeah, but ching. Something happened along the lines of what I assumed the the this book was going to be.
Right. Yeah.
So, whether I have my issues with what Mr. Tynion, um, with what he chose to focus on, in my impression,
Right.
um, as opposed to other possibilities. But that's a preference thing, perhaps more than anything else. So,
Yeah.
no pun intended.
So we're speaking about House of Slaughter number 5. If you haven't picked up on that, do you have the creative stuff in
Yes,
front of you? I don't have it with me.
it is story by James Tynion the Fourth and Tate Bromble. Script by Tate Bromble, illustrated by Chris Sheehan. No, not ex-lapsed Chris Sheehan. This is a different Chris
It's
Sheehan.
a different one.
Yes.
Yep.
Colored by Mikel Moreto, lettered by Ann World Design, designed and developed by Werther Deladera, designed by Michelle Enkley. Uh, the book design, I assume that Werther designed the characters specific to the story.
Yeah, that's what I
With
picked up on.
a I think this actually is the correct number for a buttload of variant covers here, if you count them up. I think that's, yeah,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
is the official number involved in a buttload.
Yeah.
'Cause
I
there are
always
a few.
like to I always like to. Um, I use LeagueOfComicGeeks.com for just to kind of put my pull list together to kind of like, okay, these are the books that are coming. But I always enjoy looking at all the variant covers for everything that Boom. As much as we make fun of it, I do enjoy checking all that stuff out.
Well, sure, sure.
And yeah, so when I clicked on the show variants, and it just seemed like it just kept going.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Now, Something is Killing the Children number 21 is
Uh,
very much like
is
that
the
too.
same thing.
It
Yeah.
was insane.
And I don't
So,
believe it's done yet. I believe word is that there are still
oh
some
no,
more
I don't want
reveals
more.
coming. Yeah,
Well, I'm not
yeah.
buying them, but it doesn't matter. So either way. Um so yeah, this is the final part of this particular story arc dealing with Aaron. Uh and so I'm trying to decide if I really want to go into detail or just sort of wrap it up quickly. Um this is Aaron is a lot more of a complex character than I gave him credit for. I felt like when we first get introduced to him, he was he felt complex, like there was a lot of backstory. And then we got a little bit into this series, and I felt like I feel like there's not as much there as
Well,
there's.
I I
And
don't
then it changed again.
yes, I don't think that creatively the character was treated exceedingly well in these 5 issues. Be
Yes.
because the way that he was initially presented in the other book
Yes.
was very much intriguing. These 5 issues brought him down to a very almost plebeian kind of just dude,
Yeah.
and, again, it was a creative decision to do it that way. Um, right or wrong, I don't know.
Right.
Preference? Yes, personally, my preference is I don't like the way in these 5 issues that this character was treated, uh, but you made a statement about another book about how there is this concept of when you start a story, you pick up the characters, particularly if it's a continuing story, you pick up the characters, you do whatever you want to with them, but the understanding is that when you are done, you put your toys back for the next person.
Right.
And this just they started in a cool place and stuff was done with them, but you don't really know why or even if that much was done with them. But then by the end, they were placed in a very good place to be
Yeah.
used next time. So
Oh
it's
yeah.
like, the start and the end were cool, and
Right.
all the stuff in the middle was meh.
I you know I
So
always get when people. I don't like spoilers. It happens. Whatever. The point of it is I get the explanation to me of why people who don't mind spoilers. It's not knowing the ending. It's the journey to the ending.
yeah, and
And
that's
so
me. I mean, it's like I'm still going to read how they got there.
right. But it's kind
So
of like with this. I felt the journey to get to where we are in issue 5 felt it felt long and drawn out and sort of meandered a lot. Like
almost like
I knew
yeah,
in the second issue, maybe halfway into the third, where we were, what we were trying to be told. Like I got it. But I got another issue and a half or 2 issues that just sort of like, hey, I really feel like
the
we need to beat this into you.
the
And I'm just
filler
like,
was
I'm
not
good.
entertaining.
Right.
It's
So, but like you said, getting to this particular issue, all of
finally,
that made
thank you.
sense. We got here. Now we find out some things. All of this is about Aaron's past, but also about his present. We find out why he wears a glove all the time, which really wasn't even a thing I thought about that much until they showed us why. And I went, oh, okay, all right, okay, that's a neat little thing. We find out exactly, how he handles Jace in the present. You
Mhm.
know, we find out what Jace's big deal with the dragon is. Um, the old man who's in charge of the House of Slaughter.
Well,
Um,
he had told us that before, that
well, we
that's what
yeah,
what
but
had occurred, but, you know,
then we
it
find out from the old guy sort of what, and we're led to believe what he's saying is what really happened, and that Jace was just sort of young and didn't understand what was going on.
right, you don't know what you saw
Yeah. So
kind of situation, yeah.
if what Jace was being told is actually true, it's very interesting. That there are houses that will eventually eat themselves. Due to competition.
Right,
Now
yeah.
we have seen that already in Slaughter because of the white masks and the black masks are kind of competing with one another, or at least the girls are against Erica and Aaron.
But that's just
But
human nature. I
but
mean,
that
that's
just
not
yeah.
surprising. It's.
No, and it doesn't seem like that's going to be a bigger thing, but who knows? But maybe maybe there's some allusion to it, or
Right,
maybe it was just that house, that Jace came from. That the butchers. That's what they did. That's just a thing. It just was bound to happen. Um, Now Jace's plan, how he did everything, how he basically set the house up, uh, so that he could be alone with them to fight them and everything was interesting with the totems and everything. That was a great plan. He's been carrying those things since he was a kid. It was just, it was a great plan. But yeah, we move to, I guess, present-ish time, when Aaron and Jace are back together. He is, Jace is, showing him sort of what he is doing now. Like I thought with, because we get the whole monster in the first issue and the second
mhm,
issue and all. I thought that obviously Jace was going to be this sort of, he was going to be the villain in this whole thing. And no one really is the villain in here other still than the monsters, but no one's really the villain in this particular story. Um, at least in my mind, we get Jay sort of explaining what his mission is now, and his mission is to help the children who are victims of the monsters not get basically not get picked up by the houses.
right, to intercept Erica
Yeah,
before she becomes Erica.
yeah. So it's and then we not to spoil anything further, but we kind of figure out where that leaves Jace and Aaron. And then what does that do for Aaron as he moves on? And returns to the house and all of that. So this is a story that is definitely set up to play out further in the future. Can easily be done. But we know already due to solicitations, stuff like that, issue 6, completely different, set
Deal
of
with the red
characters. But
masks.
we've got the red masks now. So that and that was the thing that we were hoping we would get with this. We realized, okay, yes, you have to tell a story arc or something like that. Um, but I think I think that journey to get this issue done, or the series or arc done, um, you know, you're going to
Well,
win some, you're going to lose some. I
yeah,
mean,
the 1st and 5th and just 2, 3,
yeah,
and 4, just set them
right,
aside. They just, read
right,
1 and read 5 and
yeah. But I do like I did really, um, I did enjoy this a lot more than I thought I was going to.
well,
Last issue, I was sort of disappointed.
this is the best the issues have been in a little while.
Yeah.
Yes, this 5th issue.
So yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. Issue 6 coming up. I'm definitely looking forward to, jumping back into Something Is Killing with issue 21 here in the next couple weeks. Um, this whole world continues. I mean, like I said, not every story, not everything's going to be exactly what we want, and that's fine.
Yeah, that's
We're
yeah,
not the only people who are reading this book, um, so that's okay. I'm not angry about it or anything like that. It just happens. It's just one of those things. So yeah. So I'm still digging this universe. I'm digging these characters, and I'm
for
just
sure.
looking forward to many more years of these stories and these characters. I mean, this could go on forever. I mean, it's the crazy thing.
Hey, like I told you earlier today, is this not ripe for a collectible card game, man?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, this is, even if you want to break it down, and they haven't done it, do some sort of controlling feature of the monsters and
Oh
just
yeah.
have them have a side and
Hmm.
have your monster killers have another side, kind of like let's look at Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah.
Or not, whatever they call it, Eternal Struggle, or whatever the name of the game is,
Mm.
something like that. Or even, I remember that the Highlander collectible card game was kind
Oh
of
Lord, yeah. Totally
kind of
forgot about that.
one-sided in
Yeah.
that, it was heavily concentrated on the immortals and not the regular world, really. So, I
Right.
mean,
Yeah. God, I forgot all about that game.
I
I
I
played it
I
for a little blink of time because that's
I
all it
am
was. That's all.
constantly dipping back into these things, man. Every now and then I'll go down this rabbit hole where I'll look up Inquest Gamer magazines and
Hmm.
Scry magazines, and I think I told you, even maybe said it on the podcast, that once upon a time my hobby was collecting a starter of every collectible card game that was out at
Oh
the time,
wow, nice.
and I started that in two what would have been 2000, let's see, 5, 97, right around 2000,
Hmm.
2001. So
Yeah, we had a good group of guys at this. I play collectible card games like really die hard for a certain number, like a small number of years, because of the comic shop that I worked at on the
mhm,
weekends. And there was a group of guys that were um, very big into it. It's where I got introduced to Magic. It's where I got introduced to Pokemon,
'kay.
Star Wars. But then,
Yeah,
yeah, Highlander we played for a little while. Back when Aliens versus Predator was even a
y
thing, we
yes,
played that. I forget if it was really Aliens versus Predator or it was called something else, but because you had the Marines in it too. But we played that. There's a bunch of other like smaller card games that you know because I was the guy who worked at the shop, I was the guy who was always looking for the new card game. And so, yeah, I always had these, it was, I don't know, 8 or 9 guys. We would go, hey, look, okay, this is a game. I'd bring it to everybody. Do we want to order this? Would you pay? So basically, you know, no hurt to the store. If we ordered anything, it was already sold for the
right,
most part to these
right. They were
guys.
they were they
Yeah.
were your beta group,
Yes,
to
exactly.
see. Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah, and the funny thing is a lot of people, who are of a certain age or younger now don't realize that at one point there was a collectible card game for just about every possibility out.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Sci-fi, fantasy, Civil War, World War II,
Yep.
airplanes, uh, ships, pirates, it was
Yep.
all out there.
That was. Let's
Of course, they didn't
see.
last, unfortunately, but
Trying to think what edition of Magic was out at that point. I forget. It was like fourth
probably
edition
I was
or
gonna say 3rd.
maybe third. Yeah, it was something along those lines. I remember fourth coming out, but
Yeah,
third might have been out when I started getting into it. So, but yeah, oh yeah, it was good times. Love that stuff. But it was
yep,
a short period of time. It was maybe 3 or 4 years.
yeah,
That we played die. I mean, just die hard. Like we were there every Wednesday night and every Saturday.
and, it's very similar to what you see with, Apple's iPhone.
Hmm.
They were the first on the market. They they cornered the market, and
Oh yeah.
only the people that have an issue with iPhones don't have iPhones.
It's true.
Magic,
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering is that,
Yeah.
and only those people that haven't had an issue with that tried the other games. Otherwise, you played Magic. Everybody played Magic except, you know,
Yep.
uh, hell, even a Lord of the Rings card game could not make it
Oh yeah.
versus Magic. So it's
Yep.
yeah,
I've seen 2 versions of Star Wars. I've seen Star
yes.
Trek come
Star
and
Trek,
go.
yes,
Yeah, I've played all of those card games. Yeah, they and that's the thing. Like I said, that short 3 or 4 year time and when I played, I've probably saw 2 or 3 dozen different properties that probably should have lasted come and go in that short period
but
of time.
yeah, just because, and I think this the saving grace now, if you really look at it, is those games that uh, compete, and that's kind of a loose word with
Right.
Magic the Gathering, have other media to support them,
Yes.
either anime or
Yep.
manga. And so
Yep.
that's where the interest is. Oh, and they have a game? Yeah, that
Yep.
Magic is
It's its
its
own thing.
thing. It's
Yeah.
yeah, you like it because of it.
Yep.
I think a lot of the other ones that are still around you like because of an anime
This
or a
other
manga
thing,
that it's
yeah.
based on. So
Yep. Yeah, but I think something is killing Slaughterhouse kinda.
that would be, oh man,
uh,
with the
I can
different
play that.
masks now, the different
Oh, for
color
sure.
masks, and you have you're introducing several bosses,
Your
and yeah,
expansion
it's
sets and stuff like that,
oh,
write
would be
themselves.
yeah, yeah, it's yeah,
Yep.
you would start out with the white masks, and
Yep.
then the next expansion would be one of the colors,
Mhm.
whichever color.
Yep.
Yeah, so
Until we get to the green ones. Okay, so God, I can't wait for that
by the
story.
time you introduce the green one, you'll have uh, version 2 of the game. So
Oh, yeah.
you'll have the full 300, 400 card set
Yep.
that includes the green masks.
Yep. Good stuff. All right.
Yes, indeed.
So that about wraps things up. Anything else before we get out of here?
I think I'm good.
Cool. All right, everybody. You can come by the website, comicaddiction.net or boomaddiction.com. It's got all the episodes for season 3, but none of them for 1 and 2. So you just deal with it. I just know it'll eventually happen. I
It's
know
coming.
eventually.
It's coming.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
even gonna say that
Okay.
anymore. Just eventually.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that. You can come by our Facebook group, which is fans of Boom Studios. You can get on Facebook and search for that, or you can come on the website, look in our show notes for any of our episodes. There's a link to that there. If you're not on Facebook and you still want to get up with us somehow, you can email us at boomaddiction@gmail.com. But as always, the best place to get a hold of us is on Twitter. The
Yes.
show is at Boom Addiction. Ed is at Teal Productions. I'm at Chris Parton. All of that again is in the show notes. Click on all of the links there. Follow us, DM us, whatever. Uh, we'll probably respond pretty quick. But if you message me on a weekend, odds are I'm not near my phone that
Yeah.
often.
No, I've done stuff, and it'll be
Yeah,
like, yeah.
weekdays I'm looking for a distraction. so, so yeah, so you can do all of that. Oh yeah, if you can catch us on all the different podcast catchers and things like that, like Spotify and Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and all those other things. If you'd be so kind, I'm only going to ask this every once in a while, but if you are on Apple Music or Apple Podcast or whatever else has any kind of review things or star things or whatever like that, if you give us some star ratings, give us a review or something along those lines, that would be great. You don't have to. We just appreciate you checking us out, listening to us. If you catch us every Thursday, which is tonight, is what we're recording, Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, you can watch us do the show live. And we had some folks, Charlie Huffman, who is a old friend of ours, a former co-host of Alternate Reality Podcast. This is how I got to know them. was they did a live show and they did it on Ustream TV. You remember
Ooh,
Ustream.tv?
yes.
Ustream became something else. I don't think it became YouTube, but it
Mm,
became something else. I forget what it is. But anyway, but yeah, that's how I got to know those guys, and him and John Lovelace, Eric Peterson, Dwayne Feenstra, and all those guys. So yeah, so it was just kind of weird having him come in. I was like, oh, this is very full circle now. So
yeah.
very cool. But Charles is a good guy. So appreciate you listening. We had a couple other folks lurking around, and hey, if that's all you want to do, you want to come on, check us out, and lurk. That's cool. No big deal. But you can also come by the YouTube channel, and if you want to watch the whole thing, we do post the shows over there, so you can check it out. But if you're listening to just the audio, obviously you have to catch it out on one of those other things: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. So appreciate all of you listening. Next week is episode. Oh, I didn't even say the episode of this. This is episode 31. I totally missed
31.
that at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
So next week will be episode 32. So we're looking forward to that. Appreciate all of y'all for listening. Ed, as always, thank you, sir, for joining me.
Yes,
And
sir.
we will catch all of you next week. Goodbye.
Ciao.
In the broadcast. In the broadcast. It just spins around for like the longest time.